Well, hi again, everyone. I'm Marc Ernay, and we are with the head baseball coach at Manhattan College. Of course, it is Dave Miller, and we are talking Jaspers baseball. Coach, you come off the opening weekend at Alabama. Obviously, the results not what you wanted, but let's start with the positives. What did you like from what you saw over the weekend?
Well, I mean, you never want to go 0-3 in a weekend, but honestly, I'm not one to preach moral victories, but that was our second, third, and fourth time being outdoors, facing live pitching outside, and you're facing one of, if not the best pitching staffs in the country. Their Friday and Saturday starters, Ben Hess and Riley Quick, are both potential first round picks. And so, it was basically, if you talk about throwing someone into the fire, they just dumped us into an inferno, volcano, whatever it is, and go play baseball. But what I love about the weekend is we competed. We gave them a run for their money in 2 out of the 3 games. And by Sunday, the bats started to come around and we started to hit some mid 90-mile-an-hour pitching. And I think it's only going to make us better for the upcoming weekend.
And you promised us that you'd be throwing some of your new guys right into the mix. You had 6 of them in the starting lineup on Friday. How do you feel they fared over the course of the weekend?
Well, they got better every game. I mean, I don't care who you are. I mean, I said this even as myself, as a former professional athlete. The first game of every season, you're going to be nervous whether you say you are or you're not. The butterflies will hit you. And so, what I needed to happen was I needed to get these guys through that game one. And like you said, I had a freshman in right field, a sophomore who's never played a Division I game yet in center field. I had a freshman at shortstop. I had a junior college kid at behind the plate, and I had a freshman DHing. So it was just like, get the nerves out of the way, go play ball, and just do what God put you on this earth to do and go play ball. And so, we took our lumps on, Friday we were 2 hits, Saturday we were 1 hit. But Sunday, the guys finally loosened up and started to feel a little bit more comfortable. And, we put up 8 runs on one of the best teams in the country.
And in terms of the pitching, Justin Solomon, I thought, considering it was his first game back from Tommy John surgery Friday, was able to give you at least a halfway decent start. 5 innings, 3 earned. Greg Shaw came out of the bullpen, worked the final 3 innings. What did you see from Solo the first
Well,
time
again,
out?
it was Solo's first start in over 2 years. You can't tell me he wasn't nervous. He threw his first warm up pitch into the backstop, about 20 feet over the catcher's head. So yeah, you knew right away that the nerves were kicking. But once he settled down, I mean, I think he threw like 35 pitches in the first inning. He just, you could tell he was fighting himself because he was nervous. It's like being, it's like your first game again after 2 years on the shelf. But once he settled down, he really got into a groove and pitched a heck of a game. I mean, and then, Greg Shaw followed suit. His changeup was really on. Alabama's coaching staff came up to me after the game and was just super impressed by how well Greg, commanded his changeup and was able to throw it at any time for a strike.
And then on Saturday, you had Noah Matera make his first start. You had 3 newbies into the mix on Saturday. Probably not the length you wanted from Noah, just 2 innings. But how did you feel his day went?
It'll be if you look at the box score, it's going to look pretty rough. But if you watch the actual game, Alabama, and this is coming straight from Coach Vaughn, he came up to me and said, "We paper cutted you to death." Everything they did was like I will give Alabama credit offensively that when they got to 2 strikes, their sole purpose was just to put the ball in play. And that's what we preach here, but they literally did it to a T. I mean, they found every hole every nook and cranny that you could possibly find on a baseball field, they found it. And they made Noah's line look not so great, but I'm out on the mound telling him what a heck of a job he did because he got ground balls. They just squirted through, jam job singles over the third baseman's head, and I love the line that Coach Vaughn from Alabama said. He's like, we paper cutted you to death. So that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, I think if I was to summarize the weekend in 3 words, it would be bleeders, bloops, and ground balls.
Yeah.
If I can use a compound word, because you had basically, little, I guess, dribblers, bleeders,
Yeah.
bloops, and dribblers, because, you'd have ground balls to third that would just, unplayable,
And that's
basically swinging bunts.
and I give them credit. I mean, like I always tell guys, no matter, you're going to hit the ball hard and you're going to get out, and sometimes you're going to have a swinging bunt for a hit. It all evens out, and Alabama just did a great job putting the ball in play. And that old saying, hit them where they ain't. That's that's what they did.
And
So
in terms of your defense, I thought, considering, if we compare it to last year's opening series and this year's opening series, almost night and day defensively. 4 errors over the 3 games. There were 6 unearned runs given up, but I would, again, just looking at the box score and some piecemeal video, it certainly looked defensively like you were much more together than at this stage last year.
well, I take pride this year that I think from a pitching standpoint and defensively, that will be our strengths. If we can hit a little bit, then it's going to be a great year for the Jaspers. And, Drew Wires played a heck of a third base. Danny Perez played a heck of a second base. We have Chase Swain out there who's replacing Pete DeRocher out in center field. But, Chase runs a 6.3 60. He runs down balls that were finding, the gaps last year. So, you have extra, just a lot more speed in the outfield. We had, unfortunately, a couple, costly errors with our shortstop Josiah, booting a couple balls. And again, that's just that's a young freshman that's being asked to maintain and run the best, the hardest defensive spot on the field. And, for us, having a conversation with him at the end of the weekend, he openly admitted, like, I've got to be focused. It's not high school anymore. You got to stay focused for 9 innings, 3 hours every day of every game, and be ready for, a ball hit to you every second, every step of the way. And, it's a great learning lesson for Josiah because nobody felt worse about it than him, but he's still very confident. After he booted the first ball in the first inning on Friday, he made a couple very nice plays over the course of the weekend, and he's going to be a special kid out there. But it's like we're saying, you stay focused, stay confident. We talk about keeping our strut song high, and he's still in a very good place mentally, so we're going to be just fine.
And before we get back to the rest of the defense over the weekend, I did want to touch on Sunday's finale. Obviously, a very high-scoring game. Just the 1 inning from Duff, but you got Cesar and Staiano, 2 more of your newbies into the mix. And the job Staiano did coming out of the bullpen, you had to like.
Yeah, Staiano's going to be a special kind of lefty. I mean, he's a freshman that has a senior mentality. He's a bulldog, and he went out there and pitched like he's been doing it forever. He challenged when he needed to challenge. He attacked, he hit spots. He was able to throw 3 pitches for strikes. He really kept Alabama off balance, and I was very proud of him. I mean, again, with Duffield, he had two outs on 2 pitches to start the game. And then, you had a walk, I think 2 walks and an error were 2 more unearned runs. And so, again, the young guys just needed to get their feet wet, get that first outing out of the way. And for me, I think the big test where we're going to see where we are as a team is how we respond this weekend against Norfolk State.
And before we get to the Spartans, I just wanted to touch on Andreas Lewis behind the plate, another new guy thrown right into the mix and in the cleanup spot too. How did you feel his weekend went?
He took some good cuts at the plate. Again, I think he was a little, late on some fastballs, which is normal for us. one when you're, Saturday, the guy's throwing 100 miles an hour. Um, but I mean, I am putting him in the 4 hole, but I want Andreas to really know that we need him to focus on his defense, his motor and his framing and his ability to lead a pitching staff is what's most important to us. I think we know he puts up big time offensive numbers and he'll hit just fine. Um, but like, I'll be the most happy as a coach when he's leading our pitching staff and he's controlling them and doing his job behind the plate, which he did for the most part. He needs to stay focused for 9 innings. And we'll be fine. But he's, again, just another new guy. I don't care if it's junior college or Division 1. That's that first game, that first weekend. We needed just to, we haven't been outside enough. I'm not making excuses for us. I'll never do that. But you can just tell that the team that we played this weekend was just a little bit more game ready than we were. So.
And about that pitching staff, you used 12 guys over the course of the 3 games. Is there anybody left for you to try to work in against Norfolk State?
Well, Connor O'Neill hasn't pitched yet. That's a kid that, he was a Sunday starter for us last year. He was just a person that, we needed if we needed a long reliever and we didn't need him. So Pat Ben was another person we didn't use this weekend. And, we only traveled, I think, 30 guys on the road trip this past weekend. So we left 10 guys at home for budget reasons, but we've got a lot of guys back at home that are, Jack Mahoney's getting healthy again. So we hope he'll be ready in a couple of weeks. And, so it's just like things are really going to come together for us fast. And we gotta, I think the hardest part is I have about 14 position players that all deserve at bats, and trying to find them all at bats is going to be tough. So, I mean, like, you look at a kid like Trevor Santos, who started every game last year, sat the bench the first 2 games. Then we brought him in the third on Sunday, and he had a great game. So it's like, you have your ideas, and you win some and you lose some. You take your chances, and you're right on some and you're wrong on some. But Trevor Santos had a great Sunday, threw another runner out at the plate, like he did all last year. So, it's champagne problems to have, because I think we're deep, from a pitching staff and from a position player staff.
And I don't know how many times I have to say it, but it's worth repeating. Do not run on Trevor Santos. Someday they'll all learn. So you play Friday 3 o'clock, Saturday 1 o'clock, Sunday 2 o'clock, and the reason everybody who's watching sees my eyes darting and my head turning is because I have my notes off to my left here. All the games will be streamed on nsuspartans.com, Norfolk State University Spartans. You're playing a team that is coming off a win in 3 tries against one of your conference rivals. In fact, the team you're going to open MAC play with on March 22nd, weather permitting, at home. That is the Mount St. Mary's Mounties. And I would imagine that you looked at some tape of the past weekend. What did you see from Norfolk State? And then I guess we can get to what did you see from the Mount.
Yeah, I mean, Norfolk's always going to be a team that goes out there and throws guys out there that are going to give you everything they got. I mean, all my stops as an assistant, whether it was at Villanova or William and Mary, we always seemed to, run into a tough Norfolk State. So what I really loved about it is I think we knew what the Mount had last year. We knew what they were bringing back. So I think it's a great test to see, like, where we are as a development standpoint compared to last year. We see how they stacked up against the Mount, so we know what we're really going to be walking into. But again, it's why you play the games. You don't take anybody for granted. Alabama was really impressed by how we played the game and competed in all, in at least 2 of the 3 games. And I expect a very tough foe out of Norfolk State. They're not going to hand us anything. So we got to go down there and we got to be ready to ball out.
And does it help that they're playing one of your conference rivals? Does that help you guys out at all down the road?
I think it helps us to see where we stack up. And, when we go down there and play them, we're going to find out, I think, like, as of right now, where we match up with guys in our conference, compared to, maybe watching the Mountain, play Mississippi State. They're playing a team that we're playing against right away. So I think it'll be a good test to see where we are currently with the other teams in our conference.
Any change in the pitching rotation for this coming weekend?
No, I think we're going to stay as is this weekend. I might tinker with the lineup a little bit. But, I really just, we've got some guys getting healthy, and as guys get healthy, they're going to find their way into the lineup or into the pitching rotation. But I just think right now I really like what we're doing, and, I want to ride this out a little bit.
And just for my own edification, obviously you didn't get to play a whole lot of scrimmages outdoors before the season started, and those games counted down at Alabama. But from a mental standpoint, can you approach it like a glorified scrimmage, only it counts in the standings because really what you're trying to do is get primed for conference play, right?
Right. I think that's the big difference between schools in the North and schools in the South. Schools in the South, obviously, we're on Alabama's Twitter, and you can see them saying scrimmage 14, scrimmage 15, and scrimmage 16, and we're praying to get scrimmage 2. And snow hit us last week, and we were able to get outside once before we went down there. So, again, you want to go down there, and it's a great momentum booster, and it's great for the program to beat a top 20 team and an SEC opponent in Alabama. But realistically, it is our spring training. And again, I want to win every game. I plan to win every game. That's that's the way I tick. It's all about winning and competing. But I look at last year, we really found our groove after we got back from Texas.
Yeah.
And this year, Friday, every pitcher they rolled out was 95 or 96. Saturday, the kid hit 100. Sunday was 94 to 96. You tell the players you can hit that, you're going to be able to hit anybody. We might not see that type of pitching staff again, until we make a regional. So, take it for what it's worth. But, if next weekend you're seeing 90 and you could feel like it's slow and it's not, but, it's like you're prepared for it now. You battled it, so I'm hoping, last year we played Texas week 4. This year we're playing a great opponent week 1. So I hope it really gets us ready earlier in the season than it did last year.
All right. Well, safe travels down to Norfolk, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we will get all the logistic issues worked out and be able to do this in person next week. But looking forward to it. Have a great weekend and good luck against the Spartans.
Thank you.
That is Jaspers head baseball coach Dave Miller. I'm Marc Ernay. We've been talking Jaspers baseball, and we'll see you next time right here on GoJaspers.com.